What AI does for us is it helps us to understand that God has taken the limits off of our capabilities.
Yeah.
We have to look at it from a God-given perspective of technology, because we are no longer using the rotary phone. We're using phones that we can talk to each other and look at each other.
That's
right. And we're saying we're smart. We're using smartphones, right? And we got these platforms that you and I can look at each other and have a conversation. So this is not what computers began back when it was working on DOS, right?
Yes.
Here we have, so if you have changed your clothes and your phone, you got to change your mind and understand that AI is the doorway to unlimited possibilities for the Black church.
Well, guys, listen, this is DK Hammonds, and we've already been talking. I feel like I'm talking to one of the OGs of Facebook prophetic witness. That's Mr. PLS himself. I call him, some of y'all call him Paris. It's always been PLS. We're going to talk about AI in the Black church and how we can better assist that. So, Brother Paris, thank you today. Thank you for your time. Tell us a little bit about you before we get started.
So about me, this August 31st, I'll be celebrating 40 years as a preacher, licensed to preach in the Missionary Baptist Church, studying now to finish up a PhD work when it focuses on the Douglassonian methodology of prophetic agitation, which is a new methodology that I'm developing with new language, with new infrastructure. I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to share it and to be housed currently at Hampton University, HBCU. Shout out to them. Father of 6, granddaddy of 10, and just happy to be alive and to be thriving and trying to do what the Lord has called me to do, and understand ministry from the Black church perspective and love the Black church. But I'm also a critic of the Black church, because being a public theologian, I can't just be blinded to some of the things that I think that we need to do in the Black church. And that's pretty much who I am and what I do. My resume is full of accomplishments and challenges and what have you, but for the most part, I sit in that space of critique, as well as being critiqued myself, because I have not been as successful as I dreamed of. And of course, I'm open to critique and correction as well. And so it's just an opportunity to share with my brother, who I've been knowing for over 20 years now. Actually, it's 22 years now that I looked at the time frame. It's been 22 years that we have been conversing across Facebook and in dialogue. He has been antagonistic with me at times, getting in my behind, right? And even though I'm older, but I do accept the challenges and the things that he has called to us to accountability. And we appreciate brothers who can call you to accountability and you still don't fall out with them, right? And you love them and you respect them and you watch them soar. And so we're grateful for DK Hammond. Those of you who don't know him, he is a great guy, honest, straightforward, but he's not flawless, and he knows his own imperfections. And we thank God for the accomplishments of his wife and the support that they have given each other over these years. It's really great to see his wife do her work and get her PhD. I was excited when he was excited, knowing that they were going through it, but we're grateful for the privilege to share with him today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that, brother. And I am elated. First, I know it's going to be some Howard alums listening to this podcast. So he goes to the real HU. I know y'all going to have a problem with that.
He said it, I didn't.
You go to, I'm going to tell you, if you ever want to grind the gears of anybody from Howard, tell them you go to the real HU that's Hampton. They go cuckoo. But anyway, we're going to talk. I mean, there's so much we could get to. Me and Paris and just bounce off each other. I just want to have this free flowing conversation. So before we started, we talked about Black church and AI, and especially in the rural context, because this is one of my passions, and this is why a lot of stuff that I do is not paywall. Is because I'm allowing those who are theologians like me to be impacted by the ministry that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put everything behind the paywall to do that. If I have things that's out public that they can get up and use, they can and I've been blessed to do that. I always do that. So tell people about this rural company that you're seeing on your side.
Wow. So a lot of churches that I'm seeing have not progressed their ministries to even adopt the fact that we're still online. There is a second platform. I was fortunate enough to pastor a church through the pandemic, and one of the major choices that we did not have was to be in person. And so when you pastor through the pandemic, you learn that people are afraid of change and update. Fast forward, pandemic is behind us. We praise God for that. People are still not adopting to some of the electronics and some of the technology that is needed for their ministries. And no matter how many books you read, if you don't implement the principles in those books, you're not going to actually receive the benefits. And so when we look around our Black church context, my study of the Black mega church goes back to Abyssinian Baptist Church and Concord Baptist Church in New York.
Yeah,
churches that were established in the 1800s that had mega church ministries going on then, social services, feeding program, housing program, clothing program, things that would meet the needs of Black people who had just experienced freedom in their own context, and not understanding how that model is something to emulate across this country. And of course, when you look at the urban church now, the rural church, and you see that people haven't opened themselves up to these challenges, and then we have the audacity sometimes, DK, to say, well, the white church, our white brothers and sisters at their churches are growing, but they got the same systems available to them that we have, right?
Yes.
When you look at Harvard, Yale, MIT, they were doing this AI stuff 20 years ago.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Right? 20 years ago, Dr. Jeremiah Wright said this to me in 2011, that Google Scholar was the new thing. For people to understand there was a Google Scholar. We were just happy with Google. We didn't know that there was a Google Scholar, right? And so these things have been out for a long time. The problem, I think, with the Black church is that our leaders are not being reintroduced and re-educated, because we do have a sense of arrogancy in the Black church, as if we know everything and we got the best thing going. You got icons in the Black church. You'll never have another Frank Racine. You're never going to have that. No. You're never going to have that. You're never going to have a Sandy Efray. You're never going to have a Gardner Taylor. You're never going to have another Charles Edward Booth. I mean, these guys who are alive, we're never going to have them. And then we're not looking at the models and the revolutionary things that they've done to continue to grow their churches and impact others. And so we got small churches who have not experienced a educated preacher in their context. So they push against that. If you bring too much technology, they push against that, right? And so they look around and see that young guys and even seasoned guys like myself don't want to stick around and fight you for years about getting up to date. And I'm talking about just paperwork is not up to date. 501c3 stuff is not up to date. How we handle visitors, how we handle members, how we visit the sick, these things are not up to date. And so AI gives us an opportunity to be creative, to be expansive in our thinking, to get things done, and we're missing it. And so I'm listening to a lot of conferences, what they look at, what they're trying to do, and then I understand we have a new Baptist network that is not a conference, that is not trying to be a convention. They're trying to be brothers and sisters that come along, side pastors to help them in whatever their needs to be. But again, here is the guy that got 25 members, 30 members. And he is part of the church system, and his people don't want to change. How do you help that segment of our Black church in the rural and in the urban context, that the people are still trying to do ministry in 1980? We in 2026.
Yeah, I think, bro, you raised up interesting thoughts. The first thing that I've had a chance to do this year is speak with the leaders in the Texas Baptist affiliation.
Okay.
The African American Texas, and being able to speak to their people. And I'm talking futuristically to them, and they're like, how do I apply this? And so my class, giving them some insight. I think the problem that I've seen the most, skepticism. It's like black skeptics. I am a skeptic of another thing I have to add or do. When in fact, if we look at that with a or we look at that through a lens, we'll use a tool this way. Some of us don't have the right people. So I always break down things like people, product, process. We don't have the right process in place. We don't have the right people in place. Product never changes. So modify those things, then we can see the context change. And sometimes real context, people. Do you have yourself? Do you have an hour to kind of help you move faith? I have those conversations that kind of remove the skepticism. Then they're more use it for their content. In the long run, it's going to save money to use it. Not how rule context you're going to use. Does somebody want to put a data set in my backyard? How is the water, the environmental? So those, I know that I'm having with people. And let me say this, I said this at the conference, I'm going to say it right now. If you are struggling with data centers, I want you to take out the list of names of people that are on political lists in your community. I want you to ask go for them. Because the centrality of this is really based on the fact that we were putting the wrong people in place. Acceleration is voting the wrong people in place. The digital redline is because of the wrong people. Greed. It's greed in government. We're seeing, especially in our community. So PLS, man, tell me about this document behind you. I know we can talk about AI all day. Walk me through this document. I know people are gonna be like reading it. Walk me through it, brother, so we can all have an understanding.
So the document behind me is the process of development. It's called the Douglassonian methodology of prophetic agitation. And so the framework is built upon the speeches, the addresses, the writings of Frederick Douglass. And what we do is that we look at different aspects of life that Frederick Douglass had already spoken to, but prior to Frederick Douglass, we go all the way back to church fathers, African church fathers. So my methodology is rooted in the African church fathers, but then it is propelled by what I read and seen in Frederick Douglass's speeches, right? Some of this moral agitation that he was talking about, he upset the status quo because he was able to compliment them and inform them that they were wrong at the same time. So this methodology is developing. It's an ongoing development of concepts, understandings, stuff to have metadata to. Right now, we have over 300 entries that is continually to grow. It will actually be a lexicon that comes with this work. There is constant evolving of this work as we look at what's needed between the intersectionality of faith, politics, theology, the marginalized, misogyny. We look at everything that has injustice in it and partiality in it and say, how does God speak to this? And we look for the stuff in the blind spots, right? And in looking for stuff in the blind spots, you find there's gaps of information. There's things that we can't all cover. And I say that very openly because when we look at how we have been critiquing our fellowships and conventions, one thing we keep forgetting is that they can't cover everything. They can't do everything. So you need DK Hammonds and his group and Lester and his group sharing AI over here, not in competition with somebody else over here, but informing the church, because when we consider the body of Christ, everybody can't be a hand, everybody can't be a pinky finger, everybody can't be a foot. We forget about the cosmopolity of what's connected in us as a body and human being. We have to look at that as the church. So all of us need each other in going forward. So when we were considering a PhD work at Anderson University, Frederick Douglass kept coming up. Frederick Douglass kept coming up, right? Kept agitating my spirit. And so when I decided to step away from Anderson and kind of give myself a break, get my mind together, the spirit just kept talking to me about, I need you to work on Frederick Douglass work. So the late J. Alfred Smith, who has gone on to the glory, has been one of the mentors in my life as well. So as the Reverend Dr. Jeremiah A. Wright Jr. has been a mentor in my life about this prophetic agitation. Dr. Dante Wright, who is going to be my PhD advisor, him and Dr. Smith were friends and mentor and mentee, and they shared with me to look at Frederick Douglass from a perspective that most people have. So in passing with Frank A. Thomas,
That's right.
I said, you know, Dr. Thomas, no one has looked at the preaching ministry of formation of Frederick Douglass that created the abolitionists. And Dr. Frank A. Thomas turned around and looked at me and said, only a preacher would see that. And that's the seed. So prophetically, I've had Black prophetic preachers speak into my life and to help me to understand that there was a work that needed to be done. And then before Dr. J. Alfred Smith passed, he said, he called me Lil Cuz. He said, Lil Cuz, I always wanted to write on Frederick Douglass. I need you to finish that work.
Yeah.
And that's the last time him and I spoke. And so that's the beginnings of the Douglassonian methodology of prophetic agitation.
Now, let me ask you something, because now I want to see how I can move in this word. We started with AI, we moved to prophetic agitation. Where does technology interconnect, interwoven with things like the Black prophetic preaching or Frederick Douglass? Where does that fit in now as we are going into the 21st century?
So it's information, new information that we can help develop, right?
Yeah.
Brother Emery Berry at Elevate is going to help me produce a book that's going to be coming out called Prophetic Punctuation, the homiletical method of the semicolon, right? So that book is coming forth in December. And so it opens up doors for us to begin to understand that AI in the Black church tradition and Frederick Douglass helps us develop and locate the blind spots, the dark places that no one really wants to talk about. And not that they're taboo or they are out of context with where we're living. It is the things that the young lady that's on Instagram is beginning to talk about, these Black history things and moments that are making people very upset. I can't think of her name, but she's the Baroness. I know that part. I remember. And so you can't find that information unless AI opens up the door to help you get beyond these walls of containment. One of the things, DK, I did, excuse me, I went to Boston for a personal vacation because I've always purchased my books from the Harvard bookstore. So I physically wanted to go to the place that I've been buying books for the last 20 years. Standing in Harvard, I meet a professor of theater who was a student who became a professor at Harvard. Him and I were standing in the bookstore. We greeted this and other. He said, sir, look across the street at Harvard. What do you see? We go to the window, we look across. I say, well, I noticed that Harvard has this big iron gate and it has all of these bricks and granite stones, what have you. He says, it looks like a fort. I said, exactly. He said, a fort is designed to do two things: keep certain stuff in and keep certain people out.
Yep.
Right? Yep. What AI does, it puts us in places where people said we couldn't go. And that's what's upsetting the status quo, because now they can't hide the information. They can ban the books, but they can't ban the information. They can't limit history. So AI goes across those walls, those forts, those iron gates, those places that now get exposed for the truth of what they are. And I think that is the power of our ability now in the Black church is that there is no limits. God has, as E. Dewey Smith always say, take the brakes off me, right? God has taken the brakes off of the information that is available. And now everybody's beginning to see the context of our United States and Britain and the things that they have done, Portuguese and all of these European type countries who now are living this extravagant life. Everybody's saying, well, you can't get gold in Saudi Arabia. You had to get it from where? You got to go to Africa. You can't get all them diamonds. How much blood is behind those diamonds, right? How many lives have been sacrificed for your opulence and for your elegance, right? And so God is allowing us to get beyond those barriers if we're not afraid to, because the information is there.
Information is there with artificial intelligence. That does not mean that it's not going to have biases with information. It is our job as African-American people, Black and brown people, people of color, for us to, and here's my biggest push with technology, for us to show up to it. We tend to shy away from it. It's our job to show up to it, because if we don't show up, their bias is the way things are ran. Yes. Our information needs our level of coolness. It needs us for it to be pushed further. And I would dare to say that like has an excellent opportunity, because some of those rules have that should be sitting dormant throughout the week can now become the place of things of learning like it used to be. I've been growing up in Black church all my life. I didn't go to most late in my life. I used to food pantry, Boy Scout Cubs, tutoring ministry, benevolence ministry. I used all that being at church. Now that I sometimes don't see it, we have an excellent opportunity to bring some of that back that we lost. Yes, okay, there's going to be a cost to it. But I just got off the phone with a church about 2 weeks ago. Somebody was donating them computers for them to use in their church. This thing is already here, and we have to educate our people and the levels of technology. I am K. Hammonds. This is Perry Smith, and we are talking about artificial intelligence and the Black church. This is a public theologian. People call me a digital theologian. Whatever you call it, we're talking about artificial intelligence and how we can help progress this in the African American church. So we talked about artificial intelligence. We talked about what's sitting behind you. Tell me what you're optimistic about, whether it be in the prophetic witness of Frederick Douglass, artificial intelligence.
I'm very optimistic about it all. One of the things about doing PhD research is that you begin wide and then you have to narrow it down to one area of expertise that you can actually be known for. One of the things that the Douglassonian methodology does is that there is a system in place to verify what's been verified, to verify what's been verified, to verify again, right? And it leaves the door open that this work that I'm doing lives beyond me and my children. It's an opportunity for the door to be open to build upon a platform that may have began with me, but doesn't end with me. One of the problems with our prophetic tradition is that we're too busy concerned about it being ours as the founder, and then it dies when we die. Douglassonian methodology of prophetic agitation is designed to outlive me and my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So it allows scholars to say, hey, Smith started this, cool, I knew him or I'm abreast with his work, but here are some areas that he left open for us to build upon. What AI does for us is it helps us to understand that God has taken the limits off of our capabilities. We have to look at it from a God-given perspective of technology, because we are no longer using the rotary phone. We're using phones that we can talk to each other and look at each other. That's right. And we're saying we're smart. We're using smartphones, right? And we got these platforms that you and I can look at each other and have a conversation. So this is not what computers began back when it was working on DOS, right? Yes. Here we have, so if you have changed your clothes and your phone, You got to change your mind and understand that AI is the doorway to unlimited possibilities for the Black church and for Black people as a whole.
Yes.
The church must no longer rely upon the charismatic giftedness of the hoop without substance that goes beyond Sunday morning. People need to be able to feel a sense of growing when they're connected to the Black church. We used to have what was called junior achievement. Junior achievement is what needs to be put back in the church. If you check the history of the Black church, we were forced to help each other. I shared this on LinkedIn and I shared it on Facebook in my stories. The Black church will not survive without Black men and Black women coming together producing Black kids. Whether you produce them birth or you mentor them or you mother them or you godmother, godfather them, the Black race has to continue. Because here's the thing I like about our Latino brothers. They ain't, and sisters, they ain't stop having babies. They ain't stop being with each other. They ain't stop connecting with each other. They ain't stop having language with each other that other people cannot understand. One of the gifts of the Holy Ghost at the day of Pentecost is that it gave us a different language and a different code on how to communicate with multi-ethnicity, multi-gender people available to understand the verbiage, right? Dr. John W. Kennedy said this many years ago, that when the left brain and the right brain get connected by the aid of the Holy Spirit, there is no telling what we can do. My prayer every day, God, make me smarter today than I was yesterday. Anoint my mind to make me different and unique than anyone or anybody that has ever lived. Solomon didn't ask for money, he asked for wisdom, and God gave him everything else. So parents don't need to ask for money. Lord, give me wisdom. Give me the kind of cutting edge thinking and technology awareness that puts me in a different category, right? Doesn't raise me above my people, but put me in a place that my people can use me as a tool, as a model of saying, you know, age has nothing to do with God's ability, right? So now at 63 years old, I'm certified in AI multiple times, got all kind of stuff going on. And all I can do is say, thank God for opening up my mind. I could have become closed-minded and say, well, AI is a little bit too futuristic. It's going to get out of control, and not understanding it's my responsibility as a trained African-American, Black, prophetic, liberation, mindset, motif theologian to question AI's ethics.
Yes.
To question its biases. It's my responsibility. I don't have to wait for somebody else to give me permission. That's my responsibility. I thank God for people like William H. Curtis and Dr. Gina Stewart as my mentors and my DMN work. And I'll never forget what Dr. Curtis said to me. He said, it's your responsibility to do for somebody else what we did for you. And that means open up people's mind to see their possibilities. You know, DK, you know the biggest problem that we have is that we too busy trying to model and measure up to somebody else's geniuses without realizing that God has put genius in each and every one of us.
And to lean into that genius will be the way of the future. The church, the Black church, and the individual church, the big C church, little C church, all has a level of genius that we need to lean into. And that genius is connected to innovation. And that innovation is connected to a system model that can help birth efficiency along the way. And if we cast down innovation and we cast down the other, what do we have? We have frozen success. We don't have
that piece right there.
We got frozen. We love to say, look at what I did. And one of the things, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Here in the last 2-3 years, I've accomplished a great deal. I've been on some major stages. And all
I've been watching and clapping.
All that's cool. And I thank God for my ancestors that kind of gave me a stage when I didn't have one.
Wow.
But when I got back home from Massachusetts, I wasn't content. God was showing me that there's a whole rollout. There's more people that need this conversation about innovation and technology. And he has me placed here in this season to be one of the leaders. We got a lot of clients that don't have three things. Like if you're looking at somebody that's talking about artificial intelligence, three things. One, they need to have some experience in technology. Some of the folks aren't tech heavy, want to get in front of your stage to your people. I think that's not right. They need to have proof of concept. They've done it with other people. What you don't know about me, and I don't share it. I've trained people to build. So when you go to Napa Valley and we did a hackathon, there was a certain church there, I will not name, but they have major influence. And their team was and when that team left,
wow.
And that app is for mid season, they have fast prayer. And they are able to 1,000 plus users go through an app class talking about innovation and build applications. It is that type of learning that I think the church needs to get back to. Innovation, we can push things. If every round goes higher, and if the church is the church, there must be some synergy from the in-person church and the digital church.
Yes.
It could just be the church. And the experience should not change. What helps with that is systems and innovation. PLS, I'm going to give you the final word. Any final words you have to say to our listeners at this time, please provide your social media and any material you would like to sell as well.
Again, thank you, DK, for this opportunity to share. So one of the things I am so fascinated about with this guy named Jesus, right?
Absolutely.
Is that he evangelized an estimate of 1.3 million people around the Sea of Galilee. No technology, no Facebook, no text messages, no beepers, no nothing. He walked with people, and we only get certain towns reflected of the engagement between him and other people. There were multiple cities, multiple little villages and communities that was around the Sea of Galilee, and he was able to reach 1.3 million people from just walking and sharing and connecting with people where they were, and then speaking into their lives to where the possibility of where they're able to go. He walked into dead situations and people came back to life. He walked into parties that was about to be over with because the wine ran out, and then he created some new wine. Everything about Jesus was about innovation and pointing people to their hopeful possibilities. Yes. AI for the Black church helps us to understand that the past is our foundation to spring forward to the future. In doing that, we must be mindful that everybody can't be an expert in everything. Learn your area, what you have done, what Lester have done, and let God open up the door for you in this season of innovation so that you could be a contributor that's measurable to the kingdom. Here's one thing that me and Dr. Dante Wright talked about, and he just chuckles. We ain't never heard Paul preach, but we preach what he wrote. And for the future, there has to be a footprint of your gift and your anointing left behind for somebody else to build off of. And that's what I want to say, is that we cannot fear AI anymore. We must be honest with ourselves and say what we don't know, and then be humble enough to say, hey, DK, Lester, others, can you help me to get abreast and have the information? Again, I'm Paris Smith. My handles are Paris Smith on Facebook, Reverend Dr. Paris Lee Smith on LinkedIn. I'm on 6 different platforms. I'm on Medium as a Black Douglass Scholar. I'm on, what is the other one? Let me see, what is it called? Substack. I've just been introduced to a new platform that I'll be writing monthly on called 3/5 as well. And then so there are a few other things that I got going on that will come down the pipeline. But again, I am so grateful to connect with my brother outside of, you know, just looking and being marveled by his work. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I love you. I respect you. I am honored to watch you do what you do, and I applaud you, man. And like I said, I'm always here for you. We'll always be here for you until the Lord says otherwise. Whether I go home or you go home, you got me to the end. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or a trillionaire. You're still my brother. I didn't go down. I went up.
Well, we're going to end this up. We're going to end this podcast. Y'all make sure y'all follow my brother, Paris L. Smith, on all social media channels. I'm sure there's some books and stuff that you can also follow him on as well. Follow his work and help us continue to build this conversation about church, AI, innovation, and futurism, if you will, as we go forward. So we'll holler at y'all later.
Bless you, man. Thank you so much, brother.
All right.